Welcome everybody, and sorry I'm a little bit late, but wanted to put information together and get ready and make sure that I said something that was accurate rather than inaccurate, and make sure that, well, you all were sufficiently revved up to say, okay, what's Zenny got to say about this? And I have a lot to say and a lot to share. Welcome to Zenny 62 Live, Monday night, November 13th. And by the title, I think you can pretty much guess what I'm going to talk about, especially since this is ramping up so quickly. And love that you all are here, okay? Now, I warned everyone about the groundbreaking, and I said, hey, a number of you are going to mistake it for a done deal and all this stuff, and you're going to be crowing and all this stuff, but none other than Oakland Raiders owner Mark Davis said it best, allegedly, today. He said, and I quote, when people were congratulating him, we haven't done anything yet. And he's right. They haven't done anything yet. So I'm telling all of you, here's a very cold water dose of reality. I mean, frigid ice cold, okay? I don't care if you're ready for it or not. The simple fact of the matter is that nothing has changed. The groundbreaking did not bring forth a magic wand or a phantom agreement that was out there that we didn't know about that suddenly materialized. It didn't have a gigantic check from a major sponsor announcing a ginormous naming rights agreement that would clear out the $900 million project debt that they're facing. None of that, okay? It not only that had UNLV President Lynn Jessup in the audience, but not on the stage, shoveling dirt. What it would have really sent the message that the UNLV part of the project was done was to have a UNLV rep on the stage. Politics means everything. Now, let's talk about what was done right about the groundbreaking. It looked great. It was in typical Raider fashion, a luxurious, well-appointed, entertaining, Las Vegas-esque festival, as well it should have been. However, it could have been better. It could have been a public event. It should have been a public event. It should have been gigantic and huge. It should have been something where it was a whole block party, okay? But it wasn't that. Instead, the Raiders and Mr. Davis, so fearful of negative commentary, they held it close to the vest like this, tight. But also for some very, 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 and I mean very, 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 very understandable reasons having to do with security. I get that. But Las Vegas is used to big events. It should have been bigger. Okay? It wasn't. This project is not ready. This is November 13th. We have one document done. We don't know what the cost of the project is going to be. And something else that was really, really, really very much, for want of a better term, obvious from the stadium cam, which should not have been at the Mandalay Bay Hotel. It should have been Delano. To put it Mandalay Bay, just in the wake, literally, of the 1 October shooting, was a mistake. It should not have been there. But it's there, okay? The problem is that this stadium, that footprint that they put out there, told anyone who'd looked at it that, hey, you know what, that land is a little smaller than we're led to believe. And when you look at the land and the football pattern footprint there, the field, and compared with artist renditions, it's quite obvious that someone really did a great job of shoehorning the stadium so they could fit in there, okay? It wasn't any of this, well, let's actually see if this thing fits. Because when people have started doing that, that's why reports came out that, hey, you know what? The roads that were drawn out in the artist rendition, they don't have enough space for them. Not there, okay? So, but, everyone loves a party. No one, wants to, hear the truth. People want to have more faith in people than they do God. You have people who are atheists who don't believe in God, and, some people exercise not believing in God in certain ways, and they take it out on people in ways that are really, really bad, but that's another story, okay? The simple fact of the matter is this. That stadium has not advanced at all. It's not there, okay? So don't talk to me about how it's a done deal and all this. Don't talk to me about any of this. Where were the potential sponsors? Oh yeah, the Raider players were there. But what about the firms? What about big firms? You had Steve Wynn there. That's great. Steve Wynn wanted this for a long time, but is Steve Wynn putting any Steve Wynn money into the deal? Just asking. Where's his money? He had a lot of people there who were looky-loos. Everyone wanted to be there. All the politicians wanted to be there. Most of them, okay? Except those that were running for governor and using that issue, that one issue, as the issue to say, hey, you know what? Maybe this shouldn't work, okay? I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this straight out, all right? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If Oakland is going to lose to Las Vegas, it should lose to a competent effort, not a half-assed effort. This effort is still half-assed, period. Period. And the only thing that's going to change that is, first of all, a very honest, publicly presented timeline of where monies need to be, a very honest statement of addressing the problem that the stadium tax is too small to effectively finance a bond issue, a very honest backup look at the GOP tax plan and the admission that they cannot do a general obligation bond issue if the GOP tax plan passes with this bond, this part of it that says you cannot do a professional sports bond issue or tax-exempt bond issue. That is an enormous poison pill to the Raiders project. And I don't care what person comes along who says so, like one person who I actually had to tell the IRS governs the law around tax-exempt bonds when they said, well, the IRS only deals with personal, issues, right? Personal, the IRS only deals with personal taxes. You know that, don't you? Duh. Personal taxes. No, not at all. Not at all, okay? So, had to do some educating there. I don't care how this sounds, and I don't mind being the cold water that you need to have thrown on your face. At all. There are a number of facts here. Among them, the way, and I mean the way, this deal was done, the lack of good faith the Raiders showed to the city of Oakland, and then on the way out the door, you have people like JT the Brick, my friend, who are going to tweet and text to me how, and I know that, and I've chronicled, and I've told you about the mistakes that Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf made and how she herself didn't handle things the way she should have. And in particular, she should have given the NFL the land, right? But on the other hand, the Raiders did not effectively show a desire to stay in Oakland. As my mother says, who is the paragon of common sense. Well, if the Raiders don't want to stay there, why don't they just say they don't want to stay there? I say, I know, Mom. But you know what? The Raiders, instead of saying they just don't want to be in Oakland, they had to make it look like Oakland didn't want them. Oakland did and does want the Raiders. But the Raiders just can't help themselves, okay? They can't help themselves. And I'm saying this with the call for the Raiders to change the way that they do things. If the Raiders don't want to be in Oakland, just say it, but don't badmouth Oakland on the way out the door. And why is that important? It's important for this reason. Because you want your fan base to come with you. You want people that you knew back there to be with you. You can't just say, hey, look, we're going to lie to you, not treat you properly, and then badmouth you, and then, hope that you come and want to be with us or be a part of it. That's not the way life works. That's called the creation of something that is described by 2 words. Bad karma. You ever heard of that? Bad karma. Yeah, bad karma. That's what it's called. So, no, absolutely not. The Raiders right now should go on the best charm offensive they've ever created and implemented in the entire existence of the silver and black. That's right. Both Oakland, Vegas, all points in between, make sure everybody loves them. Everybody. Because right now, what's going on is you have a stadium that hasn't moved an inch. There's a lot of marketing, and all that's done is it's heightened already hyped up feelings. I've had people text me today, oh, they're upset. Oh, they don't know what to do. Oh, their world is crashing down. Oh my God, okay? Raider fans who had season tickets for 2 decades and in many cases, who are Oakland Raiders fans, who didn't ask for this, all right, at all. And then they fed this garbage, this pablum about, well, Oakland had its chance. Oakland did not have its chance. Oakland was never given a chance because the Raiders, and this is chronicled in 2007, at the time when Mateer Moss in the San Francisco Chronicle went to the Raiders and said, hey, do you want to have a new stadium in Oakland? Amy Trask said, and it's on record, we are, quote, happy with where we are at the Coliseum, unquote. I'm paraphrasing, but it's right there in black and white. All right? Hey, they're happy with the Coliseum. Yay! The Raiders have never once made a neat artist rendition of what a stadium could look like. And I'll double down. Except for me, no fan has actually drawn out what a stadium would look like, a new one at the Coliseum. A number of you made fun of my, quote, stick figure, unquote, drawing, but at least I made one. Thousands of you sat there and you did nothing but sit on your hands, or when you used your hands, you typed them to make fun of what I put up, or what I drew up. I drew something, I made a website, I came up with the finances, I got a powerful investment banking firm to back it. What the fuck did you do? Zero. That's what you did, okay? Nothing. Goose egg. So you are as much at fault as anybody else is. You can't go blaming the mayor, in part, or excuse me, entirely, in part, yes, entirely, no. You can't blame the NFL entirely, in part, yes. And you can't blame the Mark Davis for all of it. Most of it, yeah. But a lot of you all sat back and let this happen, and you waited for somebody else to do something. Stop being lemmings. Lead for a change. Stop whining and complaining. Okay? We're saying, I don't like this or do like that. Be the change. Period. Be the change. Now that I've finished beating you guys up verbally, let me go back to the Vegas people. All right? Like I said, this is cold water night. This is the night where you're going to come away not happy with what I say all the time, but in your heart of hearts admitting, you know what, Zenny is absolutely right. How much is this thing going to cost? Oh, and not only that, those earth movers you had out there for 7 months doing that soil analysis, what did they come up with? And are you going to clean out that football, whatever you called it, field in the middle of that and go back to digging again? Yeah. What's going to happen in terms of the stadium design when water hits it? You know, when rain hits it? Anyone ever looked at the design? and look at the way the roof is designed, it looks like it can actually be a catch spill for water. So you have this pool that develops at the top of it. Take a look at the design, okay? Just take a freaking look at it. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Looks like a little pool can develop up there. You have water that spills over, and then where's the water going to go? I don't know. On a property that already has a drainage problem. I don't know. Psst. I mean, there are so many problems with this proposal. It's not funny. And don't talk to me about what you think is going to happen. I'm talking to you about the problems that exist. And there's no listing of how the problems are going to be dealt with. At all. At all. And I don't care if the legislation, this goes back to financing, says that the Raiders have the right to be secret about who they're dealing with. Don't be. Don't be. Because in being secret in a social media environment, when someone finds out something, like me, and it gets out there, you're going to be doubly upset. You want good PR, you be honest, you be open, and you get ahead of everything. That's the way you do it, especially in a project of this magnitude. Of this magnitude, all right? Oh, it feels so great to have all of you before me and to tell you about these issues. Let's go further. Where was Shell Madelson? Don't know. Don't know. Where was the big fat check donor? None. How you gonna have someone cover the operating losses and cost overruns? Where is that coming from? Don't know. You're gonna tell me just because it's Vegas is gonna pop up automatically? Voila? No, that's not the way it works. Oh, and JT the Brick, who may be watching this right now, I got something for you, pal. Because you were texting me the other day, I love you very much, but this is my show, and I'm talking to you, my friend, who I'd love to take to dinner. Well, actually, you owe me dinner too. We both owe each other dinner. We take each other out. But my whole point is this, my friend, and it's this. You say that Las Vegas is bigger for entertainment than the Bay Area, right? That's what you texted me. You texted me that. So riddle me this. If Las Vegas is so much bigger than the Bay Area for entertainment, why isn't Taylor Swift coming to Las Vegas? Huh? But the second stop on Taylor Swift's tour is Levi Stadium. Hey, if the Coliseum had an organization to pitch the Coliseum, which it does not, it could have been the Coliseum on the list too. That gets me back to the numbskullness of the way we run things in Oakland. And I'm not saying that just because this groundbreaking happened and I'm pointing out the problems that we're not at fault. Oh no, we are. We still, for all that the Raiders didn't do, there should be a massive size 14 up the collective butt of Oakland. All right? I kid you not. I'm not getting off that at all. You could take part of that massive size 14 and, do it for the Raiders too, right? Because the Raiders weren't honest with us. But Oakland wasn't aggressive. This has happened before. Joe Lacob said so in my video when I talked to him. He said, hey, Italy was more aggressive than Gene Kwan, right? We've had a litany of elected officials who don't want to make things happen, right? As opposed to the Oakland District 4 Councilmember Dick Spees, or when I worked for Elihu Harris, and I am tooting my own horn because I read that Cirque du Soleil was in San Francisco. This is in 1996. And I cold called them and worked to get them over to San Francisco, then discovered that Spees was working on it. So you know what we did? We joined forces. We grabbed Cirque du Soleil, brought them across the Bay Area, and we sat them down in Oakland at Jack London Square, and we had a hell of a good time. That's what you do when you do economic development. That's what Oakland used to do, okay? So yeah, we definitely are at fault. I'm not letting us off the hook. Size 14 up the collective arse. Yeah, absolutely. But also the Raiders too. Because if the Raiders owned Oakland, right? If the Raiders believed in Oakland rather than themselves, if the Raiders were truly champions of the city that gave them birth, they would have done it too. I said it on Twitter, I said it here, and I'll say it again. You can take the Raiders out of Oakland. But when you take the Raiders out of Oakland, you take Oakland out of the Raiders. All right? That party over there was a luxurious, black, everybody fine kind of look thing. But, hey, were the real Raider fans there? No. You just got a preview of, if the deal works, what's going to go down there. It won't be who you know. You will be on the outside, looking in at the people holding their wines and toasting and looking a lot like 49er fans in silver and black. That's exactly what you saw there. Kiss it goodbye, okay, if you want. If they can pay for it. If they can pay for it. By the way, this is double shares, 2.5 times shares tonight, by the way, for those of you who are invest. And I will get to your comments in a moment. But I really have that to share. And brother, I got a lot more. I got a lot more. Welcome to the jungle, folks. This is the real jungle. Welcome to the place where if you have something to say, say it. But if it's stupid, I'm going to boot you. The Zinsters will boot you. This is a no mercy night. We're going to have fun. Or, as Michael Keaton said in Batman, let's get nuts. All right. And with that, the first thing I would do is put up this right here, this invest right there. And there it is. Got it. All right. As Crawford says, Zinni is on fire. You're dang right I am. And Big April says, the Raiders are not going to Las Vegas. Black Crow Walking says, we are the last vestige of the Wild West in Vegas. Everything goes here. Joshua Agee says, UNLV was there tonight. But, Joshua, they were not on stage. Okay, and again, you may have just come in, so I'll repeat what I said. It's one thing to be there. But if you are not putting dirt on there, hey, you are not enjoying the spoils of the groundbreaking. You weren't the one being, celebrated. You tend to forget something here. This is supposed to be the Raiders and UNLV, right? Instead, it was the Raiders, and UNLV was in the audience. You think that's not lost on UNLV? Come on. What a bad look. Woo, brother. Now, maybe the Raiders tried to get them up there, and solve that problem. But if that's the case, someone should have leaked that as an issue. Said, hey, we invited them. They didn't want to come. They said, let's get the agreement done. To which you say, hey, you know what? We'll get there, but why don't you just come up and, be part of the party? Shovel some dirt with us. No. You go on, all right? If that kind of conversation took place, the Raiders should be really, really worried, because as a certain NFL owner told me when I asked this person if they were aware that the Raiders essentially had until May 16th of 2018 to get all their documents together, this person's comment was first, A, I didn't know that, and B, that's not enough time. Okay? So, as Crawford correctly says, UNLV was in the background. But here's the point. You don't put your stadium partner in the background. It's supposed to be a joint use agreement, folks. Hello? All right? Donis says, also KR and KTVU had live link to Vegas rally. Yeah. And, but as KRON did and KTVU did, and thank you for the investment, Mr. Backman, but KGO did not. Steve Macy says, Mr. Zinni, how much will the stadium tax plan cost the Raiders? The stadium tax plan, that's a very good question, Bayful. Let me take that right now. If the GOP tax plan passes, then the burden of revenue payment will shift from Clark County to the stadium itself, and Clark County's only responsibility really isn't. It's really the hotel tax, which was already approved by Clark County, but essentially goes through the stadium authority. But the bond issue could not be general obligation bond. And the bond underwriter would ask for what is called a backstop of revenue. What is a backstop? A backstop is this. Okay, let's say that you have a constant stream of money. It says $1 per year. Well, yeah, $1 per year. Or I'm trying to make it really simple. Let's say it's $1 per year for me. But let's say you, Big 8, for the backstop. All right, that you were the initial backstop. So that if I can't pay my $1 per year, you come up with $1 per year, or maybe 50 cents of it, or whatever, right? You're essentially Clark County. But then let's say someone else comes along, passes a civic law that says that we can't do a transaction like that. So suddenly you're not the backstop. So the backstop has to be my restaurant, because I'm having all these people in there, right? And you're going to be the backstop, but it has to be the revenues from my own restaurant. Well, that's the stadium. The stadium has to produce that extra revenue. That extra revenue would total, under one analysis that I did, about $860 million over a 30-year period, something like that. Okay? And that's on top of the $900 million let me be fair to the project. That's on top of the $650 million total shortfall it has. Okay? And that's rounding out, and then that includes the $850 million Bank of America loan, which is a 20-year loan. But let's be generous. Let's say that it's, not a 20-year loan. It's supposed to be a 20-year loan. Hey, Octavio, how are you? It was supposed to be a 20-year loan, but turned around, and it's actually the length of the lease. Point that I'm making is that stadium revenues itself have to come up with that. And that's why it was so important for the Raiders to have a sponsor there that was ready to present a check. When you do a groundbreaking for something like that, you make sure you have a huge announcement. Let me explain, in the context of everything, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, why it's so important. Because when Los Angeles announced that it was initially going to build that downtown stadium, which I thought would be absolutely magnificent for downtown Los Angeles, right? Farmers Insurance stepped forward, with not 100 million, not 200 million, not 300 million, not 400 million, not 500 million, not 600 million, but $700 million naming rights agreement before they even saw a design, because it was Los Angeles, okay? So if Las Vegas is so great as JT the Brick says, where's Farmers Insurance stepping forward with a $700 million naming rights agreement like they did in LA? Where was anybody who was willing to write that kind of check at the groundbreaking? Where? I'm waiting. I don't know. Where were they? I don't know. That's a Vegas-sized deal. I didn't see that. All right? So Henry Flores says, hey, Zinni, did Mark Davis at least thank Sheldon Adelson? They did. Will Adelson influence UNLV to stall out the Raiders, and then he will come in and help them out? There's still that. Malcontent says, and don't forget another $200 million for parking, let alone the other transportation and infrastructure costs. I didn't forget that. That was encapsulated in the numbers I quoted. Raider Nation says, Jason Cole said the naming rights will exceed $100 million eventually. Yeah, but here's the point, okay? Jason Cole, if he's listening to this, I'm going to write this down. And you put this on Twitter. Jason Cole did not do his homework. Did not do homework, okay? And here's why. Because, all right, homework. Jason Cole, if you're watching, you didn't do your homework. Here's why. First of all, naming rights were already parked in to S&T. I see numbers that I quoted in my spreadsheet. And over a 30-year period, they add up to $210 million, or about equal, well, a little less than the Levi Stadium naming rights deal. If you come up to tell me that with a project of that size, the best you can get is $100 million naming rights deal, you know what I'm going to do? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to laugh at you. The best you can do is $100 million, which is actually below what was projected for the damn stadium to begin with. That's what I'm saying. Some people just sort of say things, like you just quoted Jason, and you shouldn't have done that because you made Jason look bad. Ugh. See, Jason is afraid to talk to me because he knows that I know more about this than he does, and he also knows, well, there's another number of things he knows, like, for example, that Cal's going to beat Stanford, okay? He doesn't want to admit it, that's another story. You do your homework, you talk with me first, because that's my area of expertise, not his. Not his. So if you're in there running around quoting these numbers without doing a spreadsheet, hey, tell him to talk to me. I got a spreadsheet. I got 3 on this project that are based on what the stadium consultants built. We did a lot of information sharing. All right. So Eric Young says, I'm having some reception problems with their phone. Who was there at the groundbreaking, which was closed to the public? Okay. First of all, Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval was there. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell was there. Presided over by Mark Davis, the Oakland Raiders owner, Oakland Raiders president Mark Bedane, Carolyn Goodwin, the awesome mayor of Las Vegas, who's done a fantastic job, and her husband Oscar are the jewels of Las Vegas in my view. And then of course we had the great Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak in the house. Steve Wynn was in the chair down there. You had Stan Kroenke walking in. You had the Maloof, Adrian Maloof, not the other, his brother was there, but Adrian Maloof was there. You had Robert Kraft, New England Patriots owner, was there. So that rounds out the picture. But my point is that when you're doing a groundbreaking, what's more important is who's on the dais, who you give a spotlight to. And even though Andy Aboud had said on Twitter that he would be at the groundbreaking, he wasn't one of the shovel, movers. And Sheldon Adelson wasn't there at all. That would have been huge. Uncle Sheldy can save the project because the project was designed by Uncle Sheldy. Okay? And I don't mean that pejoratively. I admire, and I've said this before, the work that Sheldon Adelson has done in building Las Vegas as we know it today. If you've ever been to the Venetian or the Palazzo, among others, you know what I'm talking about. Those are magnificent, magnificent hotels. If you've been to Macau, Sands Macau, you really know what I'm talking about. More examples of fantastic hotels. But Mr. Adelson's chief operating officer, Rob Goldstein, said on September 8th of 2016 that Mr. Adelson would cover operating losses and cost overruns. Exactly what Bank of America would not cover. I don't know if Elliot McCabe was in the audience. He's the Bank of America financier. Love to find that out. There's that one. And Octavia says, at the moment, Adelson can't get involved. No, he can get involved. It's not a matter of can't. He's not legally prohibited from being involved. Henry Flores says, Zinni, fast forward to May. How will Mark Davis spin it if the deal craps out? Okay, let's fast forward to that. First of all, he won't make an announcement. It will come out instead that if someone is able to find out that, hey, things have all of a sudden slowed down and that work hasn't been done, and then you'll hear behind the scenes that talks with Oakland have, quote, heated up, unquote. Now it happened over a period of months. But over that same period of months, you'll hear that, hey, UNLV is going to take over the stadium project. So it won't be this grand, like, boom ceremony saying where the Raiders are saying they're out of it, okay? At all. It won't happen like that. There'll be a lot of face saving going on. Okay? The Raiders have a lot of work to do to save their face between now and May 16th of 2018. And I'm not saying they can't get it done. I'm simply pointing out what they have to do to get it done. What I'm talking about is being honest about where we are with this project. Stop with the game. Stop with the show. Stop telling me it's I hate that ignoramus statement, it's a done deal. Made by people who've never done a deal before to know what a done deal is. Okay? Jeez. Patrick and Blackman says, I don't know why Mark Davis is so confident about the stadium deal. He's not. In fact, Mr. Davis said himself today, as people are, glad-handing him and congratulating him, what are you congratulating me for? Nothing's happened. He's right. He knows better than anyone else what the real problem here is with this deal. He knows it, okay? You think he's not sweating bullets? He's sweating absolute bullets. You know who's got the real heat on him? It's Mark Bedane and Dan Ventrelli, okay? They got all that heat on him. So, and Baus says, oops, Zitty, UNLV reps were there, but Baus, you just chimed in. And I have said to everybody else what I'm about to repeat to you, and what I believe I said to you before is, no, I didn't. But UNLV wasn't on the stage. And again, and I've said it before, and I'll say it, I don't care how many times I have to say it. Stadium groundbreakings are an exercise in politics. This is about show. And who's up there shoveling the dirt? And it wasn't UNLV. It was not UNLV President Lynn Jessup. You don't put the persons and the person that represents UNLV, who's your stadium partner. Remember, it's supposed to be a joint use agreement. It doesn't say Raiders and then, it doesn't say, it's not like this. Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, UNLV. No, it's supposed to be Oakland Raiders, UNLV. Even, all right? Like that, okay? That's how it's supposed to be. No, did someone say, hey, Lynn, you're in the audience. Come up here and grab a shovel. Nope. And again, it goes back to what I said before. How did that come about? Okay? How did that come about? Did someone say, oh, man, you know what? You got punked by BYU. Oh, you got punked by Howard University. You shouldn't be on stage. I mean, I'm being jocular, but my point is there's a reason why that didn't happen. And it has a lot more to do with than, we're in the middle of an agreement. And I say this to you. Going back to February when Sheldon Adelson made the decision to back out of the deal, at least cosmetically, who knows what's really going on in the back? That's what I'm trying to find out. But when they made that decision, what did Mr. Adelson mention as among the reasons how UNLV was treated? So here today, we have UNLV in the room because they were rightly invited, but not on the stage, shoveling dirt. Not there. Okay, so Bill McKinley, he says, rightly, Bill, haven't seen you in quite some time. Says UNLV doesn't have to compromise for anything. And as Scott says, in a nutshell, do you think they're staying or leaving or why? There is no nutshell. They're trying to. And again, the reason why I rail against that is because I want you to understand the dynamics of this. It's not a matter of either or, you said this. No, I want you to think pre-internet style, like it or not. I want you to know the details of this because what I'm fighting is in a society of people that do not take on a battle and make things happen and complain. The reason why these numbers are so great tonight is because I have not changed my view of this deal since even before it was done. I told everybody, I said, hey, look, it's a bad deal. If the NFL approves it, it's still a bad deal. It doesn't change things. It's still a bad deal today. It's structurally bad. Last year, I said the tax rate was too small. Now you've got Stephen Hill and those folks climbing all over themselves to try to show that Zinni was, well, not wrong, but, not to the point where it has to be a sky-falling thing, when really it is a sky-falling thing. And then here comes the GOP tax plan, okay, to worsen things. And then on top of that, the very sad, tearfully sad event of 1 October. I'm going to say something, I'm going to say it again. Las Vegas should not have to go through this way. The Raiders should not have crafted this the way that they did. This deserves to be a long-term planning effort. And I mean like 5 or 6 years. Because Las Vegas is not ready. The Raiders aren't ready. The money, they're guessing about money. They're scared to death that this thing's going to fail every moment of their lives. And their ego doesn't want them to look bad. Oh, that ego is something else. Okay? It really is. I'm going to tell you something. All right? As a person who has been in love with the creations of John Portman since I was 9 years old, ego is the main driver in development, but it's also the main killer. You need to make sure that your ego is backed by 2 things, competence and money. If you don't have both of those, you're fucked. And right now, that's what we're looking at. Competence and money. And we have somebody in terms of a union telling me that, hey, I don't want to hire or have a goal to hire somebody black because I think they're going to be unqualified. I'm saying, wait a minute, maybe it's you that's not qualified. Hello? Because if you're qualified, you know how to find people who are qualified and train them and not make noise and just, you know what, grind. Stop whining and grind. And that's my message to 872. Stop whining and start working. If you believe in this project, don't talk to me about obstacles like numbers. Meet the numbers quota, train the folks, and get it done. If you really believe you're just that good, as I hope you are. And the reason why I say I hope you are is this, because unions are under attack today. And we need to protect our unions. Our labor unions need to be major league protected, okay? And they're an anti-union state over there in Nevada. No. I'm a big fan of unions. I'm a big fan of the idea that unions can build this together. But the last thing a union should do is to go out and do what A72 has done. You don't do that, okay? So you want champions like moi? Grind, man. This goes back to competence and money. Don't whine, grind. Don't whine, grind. Okay? No more tweets. You get it done. You got a problem, you note the problem ahead of time. Get it done. Don't whine, grind. Stop whining. You guys push this groundbreaking, you got the groundbreaking. We all know what's going on. You all wanted the groundbreaking. And for good reason. Las Vegas needs the work. It really does. So this is not an anti-Las Vegas thing. Again, this is a matter of competence. Getting it done right. Again, competence and money. Ego drives it, but you got to have competence and money. All right. Paul Ortiz. How you doing, Paul? Nice to have you here. Crawford says no comment, I think. and so Scott says, this is the worst deal in history by a city. The biggest corporate giveaway of all time, except here's the thing, no corporation gave anything away. If you're talking about the subsidy, the bond hasn't been let yet. And so Richard Hike, how you doing? The best. Richard says there are plenty of other things to build in Las Vegas. There are also a great many things to build in Oakland. Yes, but here's the deal about Oakland. And this is where I have a truck with how the city is allowed to present things in a city council that has been collectively this close to being indicted for how it works with developers. I'm not kidding you, okay? Is this. The city has gotten, the elected officials have gotten so caught up in, oh, who I know, and I know this developer, yeah, you know, it reminds me of my my teacher at Skyline, Mr. Rizzo. Class of 80, Mr. Rizzo. Mr. Rizzo, I'm Italian. Yeah, I'm Italian. I got the connections, yeah. Mr. Rizzo reminds me now, some of the council members who think they've got the connections with certain developers to get things done. I got a developer that wants to build the Coliseum. Biotech, yeah. Well, what about sports? Whoa, they better hurry up and make their decisions. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, what about having, something for the meetings, incentives, entertainment, and convention industry? Oh, yeah, the what? Yeah, the industry where you have hotels and meeting spaces and everything else. That? Oh, didn't hear about that. But I got this developer. No, 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 no. What about planning? Oh, good idea. You see what I'm getting at? That's the new Oakland. The old Oakland wasn't like that. Okay? Wasn't like that at all. No, We didn't do that. But this Oakland does. And that's where you, as the Oaklander or the Oakland fan, even if you're not living in Oakland, needs to yell and scream your tail off at the people who should know better, who are in charge. You should all be like Bouse. Just saying. Okay? There should be 1,000 Bouses. If there are 1,000 Bouses, the world would be a lot better. Just saying. My point is this, okay? So, you've got a situation where Oakland could grab it by the shorts, and make it its own. All it has to do is plan. Somebody say, hey, you know what? Or a group says, hey, you know what? We want to put the Raiders here. And so, hey, look, muddy the waters and say, hey, you know what, Raiders? We know your deal's got problems. We're right here. You say 2020? Yeah, we're kind of not sure about that. We're right here, all right? And then the other group we need to do digging and find out more. For example, what's going on with that property? There was an early study done that found caliche. I think that was about, you and I were talking about that, and I'm just being open about it. That goes back to May, okay? Actually, before that. And there was a lot of cliche, and then that was the only one, and we never saw anything else. Something's out there. Then I got an informant that told me that the Raiders are shopping around for basically a cheaper, quote. Maybe they found it. All right? But what I really think happened is that after, and I still hold to this, after 1 October, there was a lot of political heat to push this thing forward, but not the money that goes with it. It was like, hey, look, you get the groundbreaking done, we'll figure out the money as we go along, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes the whole tax plan thing, right? As an announcement, okay? As Baus is just saying here on the live stream, for those of you watching this video on demand, I've got a constant stream of chats that I have to occasionally catch and read. Baus said the land is contaminated, right? Asbestos. But the land is more than contaminated. It's in a floodplain. It gets flooded 13 inches once, a year. On top of all that, here is the bigger issue. You got a facility. When you put a building on something, right, and you pour water over it, that water looks for places to go. Where's it going to drain? Because prior to that, you had land that was absorbing the water, which is what that land does now. But when you put the materials over it, the concrete and terrazzo and all the other materials they're going to use, that is just going to have the water go someplace else. And that's a lot of water. And it's going to be exacerbated by the building itself and the size the building takes up. You're not going to have the building absorb the water. Where's it going to go? How much are you going to pay to do that, all right? So Richard Hike says, San Francisco's putting money forward to build their city up. They're expanding Muni. Okay, and let's see here. We've got Bruce Arena says, do what Sacramento did. Stick a shovel in the ground for infrastructure without an MLS team. Yeah. And Tito says, why don't you talk to Mark Davis, show him your numbers. Tito Jones, you're new to this, and I have. In fact, You don't know this, but Mark Davis asked me to produce a plan for Raiders Stadium in Oakland. I did. You can, if you go to Google and you type Coliseum reboot, it's the first result. That's the website that I created. I got Piper Jaffray investment bankers. They blessed the spreadsheet that I developed, the numbers, the financing idea. But the mayor of Oakland didn't pay attention to it. When I went to Schaumburg to cover the Carson issue, and which was then actually the Carson issue, and the Raiders were embroiled and trying to figure out if they're going to Carson, all that stuff, right? And what happened was that I ran into Mark Bedane on the elevator, told him what happened, and Mark kind of said, we're in the middle of an E&A. He didn't know quite how to handle that. And I'm not saying that to be derisive of Mark in any kind of way. That's not the issue. Mark purely did not know how to handle it. It was for the mayor to handle, the mayor of Oakland to say, you know what, I want to dismantle this E&A, or I want to go around this, because then he's got this idea that I'm going to give some space to because he's got a heavy hitter that has blessed it and he's got it in writing, which I did. So, all right, that's what happened, Tito, all right? So, and so I did, I did do that. And Joseph Binsman says Lillard is so underrated. Let's see here. We've got Richard Hike says, what about say about says that just got too expensive and gentrified Oakland? Yep. And Big Abel says, thank you, Baus, for the truth. And Richard Hike says, right, Baus, they are professional politicians with aspirations for something greater, so they can use it as a stepping stone in the next election. Tito Jones says, your Vader's number is that it doesn't work. Oh, I have that. And they've seen it, and you can see it too. But I've sent it to them. They watch these. Look at, they're maybe watching it right now. They know what I'm saying, okay? And not only that, I've sent the number. I've sent them to. I've sent those numbers to a number of people, and a number of people have seen them. And I have the spreadsheets that and regular Zensters will know, have shown and modified. I have a spreadsheet that reflects the operating revenues and operating expenses for the stadium through a 30-year period, as well as the stadium construction costs and estimated cost overruns with and without the relocation agreement costs. All right, I have all of that. I built myself, and I might add, to double down, based entirely on a foundation of estimates for event revenues and non-event revenues that came straight from the consultants for the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Committee that was convened by the great Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, who I would, just to remind everybody, is being termed out. Okay, he's being termed out. So Brian can sit back, and he, as the governor, should have been up there and everything else, but he's got a little comfort to say, hey, you know what? I don't have to deal with this not working because I'm not running for re-election. All right? So Joseph Bismarck says, Hot Pockets are our last hope. And let's see here. Go CSU Rams says, stay off politics tonight, please. Yeah. Let's keep it more toward stadium politics, not national politics. Okay. Joshua Agee says, Oakland is way too quiet right now, but that will change, Joshua. And Malcontent said, did Local 872 retract their unfortunate statements from Saturday? No. Let me say that. I haven't heard them say that. Their statements are more than unfortunate. Their statements were sad, regarding minorities and everything. Everyone Scott says, Bob Fitzgerald and KMBR comment on the Raiders' groundbreaking tonight during the Warriors game. He said it would be an amazing accomplishment if Vegas can actually pull the stadium deal off. Yeah, it would be. Bob Fitzgerald is 1,000% correct. It would be an amazing accomplishment if they can pull it off because of the obstacles that are in front of us. I will tell you, and I will be the watch person on this, as I've been, and I will tell you, as I've done, like when I talked about the stadium cam, when they get things right, okay? I'll let you know when they get things right. I want to see, because I've said this before, if Oakland's going to lose, it should be to a first-class, well-done, competent, well-financed effort, of which currently this is not. When Mr. Adelson was involved, it was. Okay? If Adelson is back involved, it would be nice to know. It would be nice to know. Andy Aboud said he was going to be there, and he went, yep. I said, are you going to be there? Yep. Put that on Twitter. Yep. Okay, cool. You're there, all right? Something else, too, I want you to think about. If the GOP tax plan passes, it fits right in the back pocket of Mr. Adelson. Why? Because it allows him to be in the driver's seat and be the savior and pointing up money to save the stadium project, because Clark County could not use general obligation bonds to pay for the stadium. Mr. Adelson's been on a 1,000-year war about public money being used to compete first against his Las Vegas Sands Expo. And then you've got this stadium situation where he wanted to be a legacy guy, but then didn't trust Mark Davis after finding out that Adelson was carved out of the agreement, and is still in the background. Now here's the overarching problem, and it's a big one. There is little way, absent the commissioner, it was good the commissioner was there, but how are they going to recover their investment? And I'll bet you none of the media people asked Commissioner Goodell what his thought was about casino ownership. The media that were in that room were undoubtedly afraid to ask any tough questions. Just saying, all right? Bauscherula says, LVCC already getting upgraded, period. That's right. Las Vegas Convention Center. Rick Rice says, LA got the Rams and the Chargers, and neither one could fill the stadium. Bauscherula says, so he has competition. Yep. Raider Nation says, that's true. In fact, you know what? Isn't it interesting that Stan Kroenke just happened to walk into the room? Who could say, hey, you know what? Raiders and Chargers aren't working out. I got a home for you in LA. You don't want to go back to Oakland? You should check out my abode. Just putting that out there, as a possibility, okay? Because as we talk, his structure's going up. Just saying. So, now, somebody says, how much more? Bill McClellan says, why would Adelson help Mark Davis when he could get what he wants with, being a $200 million donation? And that's a great point, Bill. It's a great question. And my answer is, I'm going to agree with you. Sheldon Adelson has little incentive other than to use Mark Davis this much, okay? And I hate to put it that way, but as a person who was used by the city of Oakland, for advice on a number of occasions, I know what it feels like. So, and I'm being deliberately jocular on, but that's the position Mark Davis finds himself in. Okay, it really is. And the question is he figuring out an exit strategy? The person who said to him, welcome to the Las Vegas family, is the current governor of Nevada, but he is termed out. The person running for governor, Steve Sisolak, has a challenger in Chris Giuliani, who's against the stadium deal, who wasn't in the room, and Adam Laxalt, and I'm not even sure where Adam Laxalt stands on this thing, but he's currently considered the front runner for governor over Sisolak. So Sisolak is boxed in. He's got, in the vein of that song, he's got Axel to the left of me, Giuliani to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. And no, I'm not calling them clowns. It just seemed like a nice song. Okay? So don't say I'm doing that. It just seems like a nice song. I love Commissioner Jim Giuliani. Mr. Laxalt, Senator Laxalt, I haven't met yet. Okay. It just seemed like a nice song, you know. But I digress. Malcontent says Adelson started his waiting game when he pulled out of the deal. His dream may come true in mid-May in 2018. Crawford says this deal will go down in flames. Silver Maze 90, how are you, says, where were all these Vegas Raider fans doing the 2006 area? Exactly. But I do say to the fans, regardless of where you're located around the world, welcome to Zennia 62. You are part of my family, and I'm love to have you here. This is the great, big melting pot. Embrace debate right here. We do it right here nightly. Now, subscribe, please. Richard Lucero, how are you? Says, no, I don't want them in L.A. What did he say? They don't need to be in L.A., Richard Lucero says. They were there, and the Raiders won the Super Bowl after that L.A. gave up on them. True. John Mark says, Steeler Wheels sang the song Stuck in the Middle with You. Thank you. That's right. I love that. In fact, remember, I think it was Reservoir Dogs that was so expertly used by Quentin Tarantino. Steeler Wheels. Boss Ruler says, if Adelson does that, it would be hilarious. Yeah, I got to come back to that one. And Albert Valdez says, what % of Amazon 8 headquarters chooses the Bay Area? You mean what are the chances? You know what? To be honest with you, I think Amazon is going to wind up right around here in the Atlanta area. We have a cost advantage. We have a land advantage here. We have a necessary flight infrastructure, talent pool. It's here. And not only that, it's economic developmentally aggressive in a way that California used to be, but California's become a high-cost state. So I would be shocked beyond belief if Amazon chose the Bay Area. I really would. I don't expect Amazon to choose the Bay Area at all. I expect Amazon to choose this region. I really do. So do you want me to put a percentage on it? I would say about 10 for the Bay Area, 90% against. All right. The only way the Bay Area can make up that is to reignite the use of redevelopment law, lower land costs, and put a couple of other pieces of legislation there that essentially make the Bay Area more livable. All right. Of course, market could bring it down itself, but we need something more concrete. Let me see. We got. Let's see here. We've got Silver Maze says Raider Twitter nubs and Oakland Raider fans. How classy. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of that going around. Crawford says Stan Kroenke still has in the back of his head the deal goes through. He has to deal with fan base fleeing. Right. And Danny Ramirez says Amazon, Colorado. Could be. And the Denver area is also very well competitive. But there is a momentum here that, you know what? And the cost of living is lower here. But there's an economic development aggression here that I have not seen in Colorado. You have major corporations here that several years ago, like Mercedes-Benz, were in New Jersey. Now Mercedes-Benz is here. Porsche, of course, Coca-Cola and the others may know about. But this area has become, I call it this has always been the New York of the South. But Atlanta has now become a world city. This is a world region. This is the most complex social environment you'll ever see in your entire life. Why? Because you not only have the different types of immigrant groups, right? You got the layer of Old South and New South. And then you've got the whole Northern, Southern thing, all right? On top of everything else. But it's the Old South, New South addition that makes this really complex. I mean, extremely complicated on top of everything else. So, you've got, and Mike Lowry says, Mike Lowry's the man, folks. Silver Maze asks, Vegas has other things to do than sit for 3 hours watching football. And Danny Maria says, hey, go CSU Buffs. Bashirula says, Mike, stay stale right now, complicated. We shall see what's up. Talking about the lawsuit and the Godfather Grizz. Mr. Raider says, Zinni, you are the first American I hear that saying Porsche the right way. Hey, thank you, Mr. Raider. Appreciate that. Thank you. Crawford says, people, this is also a reminder the Coliseum land will be open when the A's leave. Remind everybody this. Hello? I don't have anything to bang on. Well, maybe I can do this. Coliseum City's still alive, folks. It's not dead. Coliseum City's still alive, folks. It's not dead. Coliseum City's still alive, folks. It's not dead. And this is the reason I say this. Because it is. Off camera, and those of you watching, remember I covered the Joint Powers Authority meeting where we had the Forever Oakland initiative. Well, off camera, Ray Bobbitt, who spearheaded financially the lawsuit effort that's now arguably dormant, he was coming in, and he and Larry Reed, the great Oakland District 7 council member, yes, I say that, were standing. Larry was right here, okay, and Ray was right here. And Ray was mad that the JPA didn't back the suit, okay? As I explained was going to happen. He was, Ray's a big guy. And I'm thinking, I want Ray to get to a point where he might, be that kind of guy toward Larry. That's not the way to go in politics or in life. Okay, it just isn't, and I'm not even meaning to imply Ray was going to do that. But his body language was different, and so I kind of read it and thought, let me see if I could say the one thing that might quell the situation, right? And so what I said was, Larry, let me ask you a question. I said, basically what happened was this. And I said this, I'll explain what I said, and then I'll explain why I said it, okay? I said, what you're explaining to me, or us, is that you were concerned that had Oakland lost the suit, they would be on the hook for millions of dollars in damages that it and the county couldn't afford to pay, or at least the city. He goes, yes, that's absolutely 1,000% right, Zinni. And I explained that to Ray. I said, Ray, I've been there before. I understand what Larry is talking about. And that calmed Ray down because during the meeting, they didn't explain it. And Lynette, I think, was trying to explain it like that. Lynette Gibson-McElhaney, the Oakland District 3 council member, but it didn't come out right, okay? But that's what Larry said. Now, was the argument manufactured? Yeah, it was manufactured. Was it manufactured to keep open a relationship with the Raiders for something that they thought they were going to be able to get in terms of a longer lease deal or something else? Yes. What that something exactly was, I don't yet know. I'm piecing together information. I've got bits and pieces that form of a mosaic, but I don't have all to complete the mosaic. You understand what I'm saying? So as I'm going through my mental political calculus and talking to Larry, I said, hey, is Coliseum City still alive? And he said, it sure is. Bingo! What does that mean, folks? Okay? It means this. It means that the general plan and all that was done is not being thrown away, and it means that it can accommodate sports and facilities and Oracle Arena and everything else. It's still there. It's still there. And yet, whole biotech. Something I want everybody to remember, and please wrap your mind around this. Work with me, okay? Remember I said earlier, and I've said in days before, that by the way, this is 2.5 times the normal shares today, so invest in Zinni 62 when you can. Thank you, those who already have. Buy me a cup of coffee. But my point is, if you remember that I said, hey, the GOP tax plan would not hurt or impact the Oakland Raiders deal in Oakland, the reason, and I want you to listen to this, Mr. Bourdain, is this. It's not just because of the bond issue being One version of it was private activity bond, which also was also mentioned, but there was another version that was a simple revenue bond, okay? But the reason is that also the revenue to feed in to paying off the bond issue, this private bond, all right, this or not general obligation bond or not a bond not floated by a public entity, all right, came from the rest of Coliseum City. And what is rest of Coliseum City but the mixed-use development, the offices and hotels and shops that make it up. So when someone says, we're pitching Amazon for the Coliseum or a biotech firm, that doesn't erase Coliseum City at all. In fact, it just means the Coliseum City is a concept that's still there, and they're trying to figure out what to fit in it or who to take it on. It's a lot like, and I went through this when I worked with Elihu, when I cold called Robert A.M. Stern of Robert A.M. Stern Architects. Yes, the Robert A.M. Stern in 1996. And to make a long story short, came that close to getting him to team with Forest City and develop what would have been the Times Square of the West of Uptown Oakland. That's right. Because to this day, and I'm digressing for a little bit, bear with me, Uptown Oakland has no uniform design guidelines for what streets and roads and signage will look like, right? Let alone a master developer. So Forest City was going to be the master developer, which is what we're talking about for Coliseum, not Forest City, but a master developer. And then you fit other developers within it. That's also what's going on with West Oakland with respect to logistics, okay? So the idea for Coliseum City is to have a master developer, but then these other developers find their place within it, including the Raiders. And in one iteration, the A's, but the A's are leaving. Okay. Now, should the JPA and the city and the county have given the NFL the land? Yes, they should have pushed the matter. Was that the fault of Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf for not doing that? 1,000,000%. 1 million. Okay. Just want to get that out of the way. Crawford says, I wish Laval had been informed the NFL before the vote, or Laval. Crawford says the land is open for the developers, the Raiders to develop. Yes. And LX99333, welcome, how are you? Asks, they are, if A's leave, who would play there? Well, hey, there are tons of suitors for the Coliseum. The Raiders, esports. Oh my goodness, are you kidding? This is a great time in sports. Soccer. Oakland deserves a professional soccer league. And do you realize the Bay Area is large enough to effectively hold and maintain and successful economically not one but two NBA teams? That's right. That's right. Look at how the Pelicans are doing. All right, in New Orleans, well, that small market. Maybe we can steal the Pelicans. Hey, why not? Keep it going until someone stops us. Somebody stop me. I'm just saying. Go after the Pelicans. Get them out of there. Bring them to the Bay Area. Why not? I love the idea. Change the name, of course. The Oakland Pelicans sounds ridiculous. Big Abel says, Mark Davis is like the kid who keeps saying they're going to run away. Baller says, why development? Mark says he wants 100% parking. I remember that whole thing. What Baller was talking about was, okay, Davis said, hey, I want 8,000 spaces, I want control of parking and everything else. Thinking that would be in his back of his mind a deal breaker. It wasn't. They worked it out. In Vegas, they have. They have a deal to find their parking, and they got to spend $200 million of their own money to, deal with parking. The question remains, why would the Raiders be allowed to put themselves in a position where they have to spend so much money? Why? Okay? And so Albert Valdez says, steal the Clippers. And John Mark says, rename the Pelicans to the NBA Oakland Avengers. I like it. Bill McKinley says, my dream. Vegas fails. Mark forced to sell to Bay Area mogul who builds in Oakland. And Bosch Ruler says, Bill McKinley, Larry Ellison, to which I say, Lorraine Jobs. Lorraine Jobs wants to own a sports organization. I don't get that sense that Larry Ellison does. She's already part owner of the Washington Wizards. As much as you guys think that Larry is the guy, no. Mrs. Jobs is the guy. So, Boss Ruler says Warriors thing ending in 2019. 831 Scott says Clippers to Oakland. Why share an arena with the Lakers, the Oakland Clippers, and their owner is a techie? Steve Ballmer, former chairman of Microsoft. Silver Maze says, I ain't rooting for no Nevada team, but it'll be fun to root against the Las Vegas Raiders. Big April says, if the Warriors leave, the NBA should give Oakland a team. Amy Trask should own the team. No, I have nothing against Amy, but I think the team owner should be Lorraine Jobs and Amy should be the president of the team with a percentage. But, and so, Boss Ruler is being sexist. No woman leading my team. Tough. All right? Say yes to Lorraine Jobs. All right? Crawford says the NBA is not taking the Clippers out or is pulling another team in. Jim White Progressives, the Clippers and Chargers need to go back to San Diego. And Crawford says Amy Trask would be a great owner. I agree. But I think Lorraine Jobs would be a better one. Daniel Ramirez says Seattle deserves a team before Oakland again. Boss Ruler is asking me to stop appealing to women. Not on your life, pal. Merrick Madison says, I wouldn't wait for that give. Mark Davis and offer he can't refuse. Develop at the Coliseum, update Oracle Arena, make a transit hub for BART, AC Transit, Amtrak, and ACE, and build low-income housing as well. Eric Madison, that's Coliseum City. You just described it. Silver Maze says, and what is more smug, Mark Davis or Vegas Raider fans? It's, Kevin KD, how are you? It says the Seattle Clippers. I remember that story. 831 Scott says, how can LA fans not show up for the Rams games? The team is very exciting to watch. If they don't show up for them, they won't show up for any team. LA is a bad city for an NFL team, even the Raiders. 831 Scott, that's a great point. Here's the problem with Los Angeles. It's essentially twofold. First of all, Los Angeles has the highest rate of underemployment in the United States. In 2012 through 13, the underemployment rate in Los Angeles Basin was approximately 25%. Now, what do I mean? That's people who are basically paying about 50% of their income in housing costs. That's when you're considered to be underemployed. You ideally want to be at a level where you're spending 33% of your monthly income on housing costs. That's the historic measure, okay? So, but when you get to 50%, you got a major problem. And LA has that. I might add the Bay Area has that as well, except that the costs are causing people to be sort of fleshed out and they're moving more to the suburbs, okay? You can find cheap housing in the Bay Area, but you got to go outside. And so, who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Welcome, how are you? Who's your daddy writes, if Ballmer moves Clippers anywhere, it would most likely to be to his hometown, Seattle. I'm all for going after the Pelicans. Get the Pelicans out of that market that, the metropolitan area of New Orleans market is somewhere around, 1.3 million in size, and that's it. So, yeah, that's about it. So, Bosch really says no Lorraine Jobs, to which I say yes to Lorraine Jobs. And I think she is awesome, okay? Awesome. And then not only that, how can you be opposed to women running something? And then this is where your logic is really off, boss. I mean, 1,000,000% off, okay? You have a woman who is a mayor, all right, and Libby Schaaf. So I guess you're thinking that it's okay for the mayor to be treated a sexist way because she's a mayor? Because there are some people who would tell you that that's what the Raiders did. Do you think that's okay? I don't, okay? I want a woman mayor, woman CEO, not treated inappropriately because she's a woman, okay? So you expect the woman to do a great job. You don't want your mayor to be treated in a sexist way, right? So why are you going to do that to an owner? Think about it. I mean, I want you to just stop and think about what you're talking about. So anyway, Rick Rice says, Donald Sterling needs to buy the Raiders. Dope. Crawford says, I prefer expansion in the NBA to stealing teams. Frankly speaking, I do too. But I just couldn't resist picking on the Pelicans because that market's so small. All right? And, hey, I use the Pelicans example to demonstrate how you could create a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram is where you take one area and you superimpose it on the other to show a comparison. In this case, you got the Bay Area and its market size, which is my hand here, and you've got New Orleans, which its market size, which is not even my fist. It's more like, trying to find an example. This circle here, yeah, that's more appropriate. That circle this is New Orleans. This hand is the Bay Area. That's the difference. And so you put the Venn diagram in here, and basically to make the point that two of these, New Orleans, could fit in the Bay Area. This is the Pelicans market. This is the Warriors market. So there's enough room for two NBA teams. That's why I use the Pelicans example, okay? So, Robert Iman says, I think Angelinos will start filling the Coliseum for the Eagles games. And, Gen Y Progressive 1983 says, I would rather California keep the teams they have instead of trying to steal other teams. Crawford 371 says, I hate relocations, but only to right or wrong. And that's what I'm getting at. How about reverse relocate the Raiders back to Oakland? How about that one? And so Bosch Ruler says, I'm trying to appeal to women to earn brownie points. No, I just like women. It's not a matter of brownie points. It's a matter of a personal desire that I believe women make better managers than men more often than not. And when I started my first company, Sports Business Simulations, of the 8 people that were our employees, 7 were women. And there was me. The board was male. I adjusted that by making Kristen Herrera a kind of a hybrid board member. She was our executive vice president. And I gave her, first hiring and firing power. And she developed our website and our fantastic logo design that to this day I think is like really awesome. And I could talk forever about Sports Business Simulations and how much I'd like to revive it and how I believe I really made a mistake when Jerry Jones asked me to get my proposal directly to him rather than to some intern that was below him. Imagine having Jerry Jones as one of our initial investors. Were it not for my fear of rejection, we would have had that. And I'm saying that publicly. I'm aware that this is publicly. There are 89 of you watching right now, okay? That was, in 2007, a major mistake of mine. And I think Jones, in the back of his mind, kind of thought, gee, what happened to Zinni? And he probably has forgotten it by now because he's gotten involved in DraftKings and everything else. But Jerry Jones, for all the other things that people might say about him, is the ultimate entrepreneur. And that's what I admire about him. Okay? So, so anyway, but my point is, I love that kind of managerial structure that I had. We did a lot of great things between 2003 and 2010. So, Silvermay says, Vegas is a city of nothing but transplants. No way they can fill their stadium up every week. And again, the idea that 45% of their fan base is going to be tourists, and you kind of got a taste of what that's going to feel like with that groundbreaking. Ugh. Hey, you didn't see any tailgating around there, did you? Joe Flacco should buy the Raiders. Rick Rice, they would be elite. Ha, ha, ha. Little turn of phrase there. That's an inside joke among a couple of Zinsters. Joseph Binsman says that wasn't... I don't want to repeat that. Crawford says Mark Cuban should buy the Chargers. Bausharula says, Zinni, no, you... What? What is it? I forgot. There's something here that... these comments are going by so quickly that it's not funny. Anyway, Jim Y. Progressive 83 says, the NFL should have never let the Raiders and Chargers move. And they should have helped them build new stadiums in their home markets, to which the NFL's response in the form of Commissioner Goodell would be, that we did that. This is what Roger would say. Well, and I'm just going to say how Roger would play it at a press conference. If I asked the question, he goes, well, he would say, well, Zinni, as you know, we had a resolution and we had a plan to give assistance in both home markets. We gave $100 million to San Diego and $100 million to Oakland. And of course, Zinni, as you know, Oakland has never worked out a new stadium deal. And San Diego had a series of complications that didn't lead to the kind of agreement that Dean Spanos thought was attractive, and so he moved. I'm not saying I agree with what Roger just would say, but that's how Roger would say it. I know Roger well enough to tell you that's how he would say it, okay? So, Silver May says, Raiders left Oakland for Los Angeles, then left LA, back to Oakland. Clearly they love moving, and yet fans should be loyal to them? Yeah, my mom said the same things. Well, they want to go, let them go. Bosch Rula says, Rob, yes. And you know what? Something else, too. The NFL should be very afraid of the kind of destabilization of the fan base it's causing. When Jerry Jones was admitted into the Hall of Fame this year, he made what I thought was an offhand comment about ticket purchases being only 7% of the NFL fan base, and I went, dope. You didn't want to say that out loud, did you? But he did. He said that. The translation could be, hey, those ticket buyers don't matter to us. And you look at, like, for example, the photograph that the good Mike Lowry, my good friend, sent me when he was at the Niners game of the vast number of empty seats at Levi's Stadium. Or even look at the LA Coliseum and the vast number of empty seats there for what should have been a sellout game. Not there. And the problem is that the tickets are too expensive. Even tickets for the Cowboys game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, on StubHub, they were going for, I think, mezzanine level originally was $300. Then they dropped to around a little less than $200 just before the game because it was announced that Ezekiel Elliott wasn't going to be playing, right? He got suspended. But the Falcons and the NFL need to have a program of tickets that are half that price. That's right, $70, a set that are attractively located yet cheap. They actually need to, if you will, rent control those tickets. Because you have so many people around who, particularly people who want to see the NFL, who historically are from areas where now they're underemployed, they can't get well-paying but moderate skill or low-skill jobs, right? Because they're being automated out of existence. The NFL, a lot of that is the NFL fan base. People who come from neighborhoods like around here, play football, their dad played football, and same is true in the Midwest and the bread basket of the United States that's, traditionally American and some opposed to the whole NFL protest thing. The NFL needs to pay attention to them because on the other side of the scale is what I call the NBA crowd, the people that, come from Argentina or someplace else and, they've heard of Marco Bellinelli or any other, or Kristaps Porzingis with the New York Knicks, and yet they lived overseas and they come over to the United States, right? The NFL has basically no large group of players that can compare to that have that kind of international reach, all right? And yet that's the NFL's future. And it has to develop that, and the NFL has been very, very slow to do that. And what does that have to do with tickets? Demand. If you don't know who a player is, you're not going to spend money to see the player. Okay? It's just not happening. But I digress. Let me get you your comments. Octavia says, see you later. I'll see you NFL. And 831 Scott says the Cowboys are in trouble without Ezekiel Elliott. Jeremiah Progressive says the NFL could have had 2 new stadiums in warm weather cities in Oakland and San Diego. Perfect places for a Super Bowl. Instead, they allowed the 2 worst relocations in history. That's true. Now, I've said to you what Roger would say at a press conference, right? But what the NFL should have done is made a no-holds-barred plan to stay in Oakland and put up, on top of the $200 million bond issue, an additional $200 million, $400 million. $400 million. $400 million. Okay? Because then Mark Davis could say, okay, $200 million for PSLs in the Oakland parlance, right? So suddenly you're looking at $600 million. And then, Fortress comes along, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's $1,400 million. All right? Boom. Then the city of Oakland and the county of Alameda come along with the infrastructure program they've already financed for $124 million. Okay, we're actually putting in $350 million, I think was the deal for them in terms of subsidy, not a bond, subsidy. All right. So now you're looking at 1.7. Yeah, you're looking at 1.7 billion right there. We've got our money for a stadium in the Bay Area plus change. Okay? Raiders don't have to worry about a relocation fee. The infrastructure costs I'm talking to you about are on the land. The highways and everything else can already accommodate. They already do to this day. All right? That would have been 1.7 billion would have gotten you a great state-of-the-art stadium right there in Oakland. Right there. No drainage problems, nothing, all right? Right there. All the NFL had to do was put in an extra $100 million. They didn't do that. And all the NFL had to do was really focus on Oakland and say, hey, look, here's the design for Oakland. Here's what we want. Didn't do that. Still could do it. Didn't do it, all right? All right. Basharu says Vegas doesn't deserve squat. Giovanni Hernandez says, hello, guys. Giovanni, how you doing? Jim White Progressive 83 says, how far do you think LA Rams will go? Right now, they look legit. I think the LA Rams are headed to the NFC Championship against either the Cowboys or the Eagles or the suddenly resurgent Atlanta Falcons. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. That's what it looks. That's how the NFC Championship picture looks to me right now, at this stage. And so Silver Maze says, to be honest, I don't think the Raiders will win over the next several years. They seem to have regressed in terms of bad draft picks. Bashir says Cowboys are not making the playoffs. Kevin KD talks about the NBA, says the Raptors will never win it all in Toronto. And who else did I miss here? Let's see here. Crawford says that field was not even regulation size, plus no room for concourse. Kevin KD says Vegas should take the Raptors instead of the Raiders. It's more suitable. Silver May says, don't expect the Raiders from the black hole, just casual fans and wealthy types. Yeah, again, what you saw at the groundbreaking is a preview of the Raider fan of the future in Las Vegas. Well-moneyed, dressed in black, nice wine here and there, band and everything else. And again, you're going to be on the outside looking in. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at the price. You saw today the pricing out of the Raider fan. That's what you saw. Okay, that's what you saw. And so 831 Scott says, after watching that Mandalay Bay camera video you posted with the field mock-up, that plot of land looks way too small. No room for parking or tailgating at all. Terrible location. Right. And again, let me see if I can find, go back to that, what I had on here earlier. Excuse me. I'll dig that up. Because, yeah, that's a huge problem. And I mean, enormous, excuse me, enormous problem. And I'll get it and I'll show it to you right now. Right now. There it is. Wow. Let me show you this. We get, wow, got a little traction there, didn't it? Skip that. And I will go to what he's talking about here. And you know what? I'll just I'll freeze it here. And then I'll enlarge it. Once I enlarge it, yeah, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. There, okay? This is what, excuse me for a moment. This is what he's talking about, all right? That was the, I was about to say containment building. It's the groundbreaking building. And this is that land. Look at how, I want you to think about that football field and think about the stadium around it, right? And when you think about not just the field, but then the seats and then the stadium itself and the roads, you think, well, gee, do they have enough room for all this? And then we have to actually go and hold on a second. Let's find a let me find a stadium artist rendition, which isn't hard to do at all, and it can have a comparative look, right? Because this will be an interesting, if you will, cautionary tale of the illumination of a future problem. So let's see here. Typing Las Vegas Raiders Stadium. Excuse me. Oops. Stadium. There. Okay. Now hit on images. And let me see if I can find. Yeah, here. Okay. This is the image that's. Yeah. And this is right. This is about. Look at this. This is how tight this is. See that? This is already tight. Okay. In that building. You see that? But you see how much space is here? Look at this. Look at how much space in this artist rendition is here. Right here. Doggone it. Right there. You see that? Okay, you see all that right there? That's I-15. Look at that. All right. Now let's go back here and then look at the actual boom. Okay, you see that? If you can imagine that built out to the freeway, it looks like it's even less space than that, because you don't have as much space as that artist rendition would imply left over. And that points to another problem that was discussed by Martel Consultants, where Martel Consultants found that there was not actually enough land for roads on the property, contrary to the artist rendition you and I just looked at. That's right. Take a look at the study if you haven't before, and I'll make a blog post and I'll actually talk about it. It deserves its own space because I haven't given it its own space. It deserves it. I will do that. All right. That is an enormous problem, among others. That is an enormous problem. Like I said, time for some reality, right? Big time. And so we've got Bashiro says Vegas deal is elite. I don't know. Rick Rice says this is garbage time now, folks. You know why it's getting late? It's almost 2 o'clock here in the East. Cam Newton clobbered, and the Carolina Panthers clobbered the Miami Dolphins tonight, scoring almost 50 points. An absolute just smackdown of, well, I hate that term. I'll be more precise. It was a fantastic display of precision running by a team that uses line splits that are too tight for my pleasure. I like the wider line splits of the air raid offense. I believe it's a better way to run the football. The 49ers, using their zone read, added additional 6 inches per spacing per offensive lineman. Very effective with that last weekend. But having said all that, the Panthers put on a clinic running the football. John Mark says, can you put in a drive-in movie theater there? There wasn't enough room. Yeah, not even enough space for a shopping mall. And yes, John Mark's Coliseum City is alive. 831 Scott says, Kevin KD, it doesn't seem like people are taking the Panthers seriously. I think they're legit and are going to be tough to beat in the playoffs. And you know what? I agree with you. I didn't list the Panthers as one of mine in terms of teams that the Rams should worry about, and yet the Panthers have, I believe, arguably the toughest defense in the NFC at least. So let me add the Panthers to the list. You're absolutely right. So, Jim White Progress says the most popular teams in Vegas are the Cowboys, Niners, and Broncos. The visiting team will have home field advantage. John Marks says Vegas is a sham. Boston Ruler says Mac has no help. Crawford says it could have TJ Watt alongside with Kalino Mack. Yep. Okay. And there are people expressing their displeasure with a Conley pick. Robert Mitchell says, I feel like Mark Davis didn't want to be in Oakland anyway. I think the NFL has a plan to take the Raiders from him. And I've heard that before. Let's see how this plays out. There's a lot of politicking going on. And I said again, yeah, UNLV was in the room, but UNLV was on the stage. And there have to be UNLV alums not happy about that. They've just gotta be. And then, of course, Mr. Adelson wasn't there. And Andy Aboud was in the house, but Andy Aboud arguably should have been up there, shoveling dirt. No position for Andy Aboud or anybody with Las Vegas Sands, even though they started this doggone thing. And I'm wondering, was anybody representing Majestic there in the room? Majestic spearheaded this thing too. Where was Craig Cavalier? Was he there? Just wondering. So, just wondering. And going back to Jacob P. How you doing? Says, like Zinni said in the first place. How you doing? And, hey, Manny Log, how are you? Nice to have you. Rick Rice says, pink jerseys are elite. Hey, they are. I have a pink shirt. Superman says, how many points will the Raiders lose by? Jacob P. says, what are the odds of the project falling at this point? Well, nothing's changed. It's in terms of, I don't like to share odds. I like to give specific issues that the project has. The reason why is because we're forming a checklist. In fact, you know what? I'll make an official checklist. Primary activities to check off along the way so that you can understand exactly where this project is and where those things need to be done in a way that you can digest. Okay, I'll do that. All right. So I'll do that. And Joseph Benjamin says that my Giants gave up. Oh man, your Giants need a new coach. And speaking of new coach, and I love Hugh Jackson. Personally, friend, right? He's not like my buddy or anything, but why not? I like Hugh Jackson. I do know I like Hugh Jackson a lot. It pains me to see him put the product he's put on the field. The offense is too simple. I can go on a tirade about the Cleveland Browns, but the biggest of all is that do you realize Hugh Jackson hasn't won a game since he started coaching? That extends back to last year. Not one. I mean, seriously? Seriously. Come on, Hugh. Jeez. My goodness. Carver says the Browns are 4-42 since 2015. Robert Iman says Hugh Jackson is the modern day Richie Kotite. Dope. Rob Iman says Hugh might be better off coaching college. And Crawford talking about the Giants says they don't want to play for their coach. And Superman says, do you think the volcano air in Mexico will affect the game? Haven't thought about that. I'll check. Patrick M. Blackman said, the Raiders need a new infrastructure starting with Mark Davis, then Reggie McKenzie, and Jack Del Rio. I disagree. I want to give Mr. Davis his chance because I believe, look, this is a personal thing, okay? And I understand, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, I understand what's driving him. I don't agree with it, but I understand it, okay? I understand it. I think that the motivations can lead down a potentially a financially dangerous path. That's not necessary. But I'm going to take an entirely other perspective on this that may shock you, and I get the thought of how well someone thinks an NFL team could do in a Las Vegas environment. But you cannot, as the Raiders are doing, present a conventional approach at all. The Raiders need, like what I developed, and I am tooting my own horn because I think it was an incredible idea, but it needs to be its own hotel complex, its own resort, not just a stadium plopped there. And it needs that because the extra revenue throw-off required to make it pay for it, the cost overruns that the project is already generating, okay? You see, they're trying to fit a square stadium peg of an idea in a round market hole. And the square stadium peg idea is a conventional stadium. And the Las Vegas market doesn't deserve that. Well, it's not that it doesn't deserve it. It is structured in such a way that you need something bigger. You need something that, let me put it another entire way. What I'm presenting creates its own internal economy. All right? The Raiders Stadium project does not have its own internal economy save for the concessions and luxury suites. But when you add hotels to the mix and ballrooms for convention centers and everything else, it becomes its own city within a city and its own revenue generating system. That's what the Raiders should do there to succeed. That's what you need to succeed. They're not doing that. And that's why it will fail, in my view. That's why it's set up to fail and has the problems it does now. And that's why it takes so much money to fix those problems. And so the get your popcorn ready moment has been upon us. We're eating our popcorn, say, hey, all right, what's next? So I say this: if you haven't done that yet, get your popcorn ready. All right. So, Jim Y Progress says Coliseum City is tailor-made for what you just talked about. Yes. But with Mark Davis, it's always been anywhere but Oakland. And yeah, and I don't get that, okay? I don't get that. And I'd love to talk to Mr. Davis about this, but I wish, and I'm just saying this publicly on camera, and there are about 82 of you watching now, I wish Mark Davis would just simply present himself in a way he's not afraid to talk with me. And the same with Mark Bedane. It's like they act like they're afraid to talk to me on just a basic level of detail about projects. Not something for publication. I'm just talking about techniques, all right? I was ready to do that 2 years ago. But when a person, they don't look you in the eye and all that. It's like, hey, what's going on? You asked me to produce this plan, I did, but you don't want to sit down with me and go over it or talk techniques. And my point is that when you have somebody with my background or someone else, or listen to them. Develop your own board of directors of people. That your own knights of the round table. You got this person over here. You got Amy Trask over here. You've got your experts. And ask them. Have them bounce ideas off, because you always need, particularly in complicated projects, people who are not afraid to be unconventional. And that's certainly me. But you have to listen to that person. You have to be willing to look that person in the eye and talk with them and listen to them and, argue with them. All right? But it's hard to do that. And like I say, both of them, they seldom look me in the eye. Hey, Zenny, I had this idea, or hey, you have this idea. By contrast, like Jeff Passion of NFL Legal, he's not like that. Commissioner Goodell, not like that. Eric Grubman, not like that, okay? So, there are enough people around who are not like that. Who listen, have an idea, tell you if they think your idea is ridiculous, tell them if they think, hey, you did something that was wrong, or you did something that was right. Friends, all right? Friends, okay? But my point is, if Mark is like that with people that he shouldn't be that way with, the project's not going to succeed. Because you're not going to get the right answers, and you're not going to be willing to make the right moves. That's all I'm saying. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'm saying this publicly because I'm 1,000,000% certain I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. All right. And then, the JT, the bricks of the world who are on the Raider payroll, I understand JT's position, but JT has got to be the person that brings Raider Nation together. He's got to stop dissing Oakland, stop dissing people. He's got to be an ambassador. He can do that. It's time for change. All right. James McClinton says, hello, Zenster. I only heard 3 people from UNLV showed up to the groundbreaking ceremony. Not only that, they were not on stage. UNLV President Lynn Jessup was not among those. The one the dirt should have been wasn't there. Big mistake. Super May says, I feel bad for the Vegas taxpayers. I do too. Crawford says, Oakland has the area with all the companies. Yes. Rob Iman says, Blaine Gabbert might be the Cardinal starter this week. Ooh. Eric Guerrero says, if you had the money to get involved, which way would you go, Vegas or Oakland? Oh, Oakland. Oakland. Because I can't count on Vegas. I can't count on Vegas to spend the infrastructure money needed to upgrade that area, regardless of where I pick for the stadium that I need. Okay, I can't count on that. Whereas Oakland, it's already there. That expenditure's there. We know we not only know that the area can handle the traffic because it does it all the time. We've been there for games, all right? But the environmental impact report's already done. The entitlements are out of the way. It's all ready to go. As the mayor put it, Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf, it's shovel ready. She was never more right. It's shovel ready. But the Raiders didn't. The Raiders chose to, as you saw, set up a shovel someplace else. Yeah. Oakland. If I had the money, Oakland. And I heard the Backstreet Boys were there, yeah, but Taylor Swift wasn't. And John Mark says, it tells you the truth in Vegas is a bad deal. Casper, how are you doing? Casper says, hi, Zenny. Do you think Vegas can develop an organic Raider fan base in a decade from now? Organic. That will require, and when I define as an organic fan base, is one that lives there, that's fervent, that goes to the games. Las Vegas population would have to grow by another 100,000 base to do that, to have that in place. That organic fan base of season ticket holders that goes to games and celebrates year in and year out. I'm not saying that's not possible because Vegas grows quite a bit, but it has to do that, okay? So I'm not saying it's not possible. And I'm on live. And so and as Kuma says, Vegas is a tourist state. And yes, and it is. And Rob Iman says Vegas will have to build a light rail to get fans to the stadium. And I'm glad you said that. That light rail it's actually a monorail extension. That's $100 million per mile. Okay, maybe a little more than that. And at the end of the day, you're probably looking at, when you consider the track cost and the station, you're looking at about $150 million to $200 million right there alone. Then you got parking for $200 million. So hey, we got $400 million. I haven't even talked about highway upgrades. That's another 400. Well, let's be generous. Let's be nice. Let's say it's maybe $200 million. That's $600 million right there. And that will fall mostly on the Raiders to pay for. They don't have that problem in Oakland, all right? So it's 2:06, folks. I'm going to stop very soon. There's 75 of you watching. We got up to as much as 115 today. And this has been one of the best days, except for the World Series in Zinni 62 history. So I want to thank everybody for coming along and being, but you know what? There is tomorrow. And I'll tell you, let's do this since it is now 2:07. And we've been on for, let's see, since 12, 1, 2, that's 2 solid hours, right? Let's do it tomorrow. I'll start earlier, all right? So, and now now that I said I went from 75, just, 10 seconds ago? And 5 more came in just as I said, hey, I'm going to go to bed. Wow, you guys really made my day. Thank you. And Crawford asked, when will Godfather come on? Godfather Grizz is in the middle of making money. He's in the trucking business, and he's kind of making up for lost financial time. So that's where God comes back in. Rick Rice says, Zinni is an international celebrity. Is that right? I did. You know what? There was a time I had, what was that, Rick Rice? We had people here from Puerto Rico, Argentina, Germany. I think we had Poland. So, wow, does that mean that I'm going to get free bratwurst or something in Germany? We had someone from Germany, remember that? Yeah, Germany, yeah. So, and Manuel says, I'm like a bullet train. Yeah, all right. So, folks, as John Mark says, watch horror films, keep America strong. And I have another big announcement on that. I'm trying to get a big star to come on as my guest. I'm very excited about it. Lots going on. Let's see here. Eric Guerrero says, Zinni for president. All right, folks. Good night. That's my mom laughing at the background. Say it, Ma.
Hi.
That's my mom. So anyway, she's been great. Everybody says hi, Ma.
Hello, everybody.
She says hello, everybody. So, Crawford says a turnover change is a new thing in college football. John Mark says hi, Mama Z. All right.
I just love that.
Yeah. So, folks, I'll be back, and I got to get Dr. Death on. I'll call him up. All right. If I don't stop now, I'll be on for all night long, which, that'd be interesting. A marathon, one of those marathons. I wonder, one day I'll announce that. I'll just go all night long and see what happens. But I'll plan it out first and have plenty of pizza here and a sponsor and all that. All right, folks. Not pizza. Anything else. Eric Young says, hi, Ma. David Lawrence says, why aren't the accounts for the NFL giving Davis a heads up that it's not going to work? Surely that will be a discussion, David Lawrence, for tomorrow. Come on back. And love that you're back here. I know we jousted a little bit about the whole Trump thing, but hey, man, you're always part of the family. I'll see you. Good night, everybody. I'll see you all later. See you tomorrow. Please come back tomorrow, 11 o'clock, 11:30, 8:30 Pacific. Actually, let's make it 11 o'clock, all right? And I'll start the live stream from wherever I am, 11 o'clock. I'll be here. What am I saying? I'll be right here, 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. Good night, everybody. Thank you for making this a fantastic, long live you guys time. I'll see you all. I'll see you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.